Hey everyone, this is Lauren White. I currently reside in Orlando, Florida. I probably have a bit of a different background than a lot of the folks in this class. I actually graduated with my undergraduate degree in mechanical engineering from University of Maryland, which is where I'm from, Maryland, in 2008. After that, I was a bit of a nomad. My mother calls me a gypsy. So I moved from where I was in Maryland to Southern Maryland to North Carolina to Florida, back to North Carolina, and back to Florida. During all of which time I was working for DoD, Department of the Navy, just working in different locations and on different things. Finally decided to settle in Florida. And in the midst of all of my nomadic whereabouts, I also got my master's degree in systems engineering from Naval Postgraduate School. Finally decided that Florida is where I would hang out, so I've been here for about 6 years. So people are like, well, then how did you get into art? Well, I always have drifted into that. So when I was in North Carolina the second time, I started volunteering at the Craven Arts Council and Gallery in New Bern, North Carolina. It's a very small town. It's actually where Pepsi is made, and it's just very quaint. And I decided to do my first poetry reading ever. I had been writing poetry since middle school. I had helped reinvigorate the literary magazine in my high school, and I had been writing, but never sharing anything. So I finally decided to do my first poetry reading at a reading that they were having that night, and I had an absolute beautiful time with it. It was ekphrastic poetry, so I wrote for a sculpture that had been made. And I started as a docent at the gallery and eventually became president of the board of directors. That allowed me to really network with a lot of people in the area, became friends with the mayor, met a lot of the other artists that had their own shops in this kind of a little maze of a small downtown area. And thing with that town is once you do something, once you get around, everybody knows your name. Also, while I was there, I met a master wedding planner because wedding planning has always been one of my interests, and I learned to plan weddings. And eventually, while I've been here in Florida, got my certification from the Association of Bridal Consultants. So, if you have any questions, I can help you plan your wedding. So I moved back to Florida and stayed with DoD for a while, and then I've worked a few other places, and now I'm in the space industry, but I have once again drifted back to art, and I volunteer at what's called the Timucua Arts Foundation in Orlando, Florida. And I was asked to host a poetry show for February for Black History Month because, you know, me. So it went actually so well that the audience said, "Why don't you guys have something like this every month?" And actually, the last time that they had done a poetry show was probably about a year or so ago on a night which I happened to go because I wanted to get back into things that I enjoy. So it was discussed with the executive director and the staff, and it is now a monthly poetry show that me and another one of the directors co host every single month. And it's called Authentic Selves. By the way, you can stream it online. So I am also looking at doing my internship for this program at that location so I can get more into the programming for that show and how we're going to further it. I've been able to network with other poets and groups since I've been here, and I actually did my first feature set at another show called Short Attention Span, which is perfect because I almost forgot the name of it just now. So that's actually the reason why I'm in here, kind of getting into what's always been my dualistic brain and embracing that duality. I'm on the engineering side where people go, Lauren, you use big words and you listen to music with no words and you're kind of weird and quirky. And then I get into the art world and they're like, you're an engineer. What are you doing here? So I'm a bit neurotic to everybody, but that's okay. I'm going to be an engineer and I'm going to be a poet and be an artist. And I love being in both worlds. That is why my alias is the poetic engineer. That's what I go by in the Orlando area. And I'm just hoping to expand on that knowledge as I'm here and like work at being in a nonprofit world, the things that go on behind the scenes, the administration, programming, fundraising, etc. I also volunteer with Starfleet International because I'm a huge Trekkie, which is also a nonprofit organization. And there are levels of art within that organization. As you might imagine, I do some cosplay, have ideas for costuming, people do props, website design, etc. And this is also knowledge that I can bring to that dorky part of my life. So I am really looking forward to doing this and expanding upon that. As far as being a leader, being a systems engineer requires that of me every day. Sometimes I refer to that job as corralling my children because that's literally what we have to do. For example, I might get an engineering support request. This is back when I was a contractor for NASA and at NASA later. And the requirement is, hey, this is what we need, go make it work. And as a systems engineer, I have to pull everybody together, whether it's electrical, mechanical, or whatever they're the subject matter expert in, and integrate it and say, all right, what do we got? What's this project? And I'm responsible for understanding all of it. And then I would have to go brief NASA on it and take all the flack and take all the questions and make sure that we got the project to completion with everybody on all sides within the schedule and work very closely with the program manager on that. So every day for me is like that. It is a leadership experience. And that is currently what I do now, also at Blue Origin. So I'm again just hoping to combine these portions of my personality and be around more artists and more around the things that I really enjoy doing outside of the technical world. And I'm looking forward to meeting everybody and working with you virtually.